Hi, I'm Alan Smith, and I'm a localvore. You know, it's one thing to talk about being local, but it's another thing to live and support it. Hi, I'm Alan Smith. Welcome to the show. Today, we're focused on the power of local. As you know, local is that term typically associated with phrases like locally grown or locally sourced. If you've ever purchased produce from your local farmer's market, odds are that they were grown by small farmers and growers within your region of the state, often within a 50-mile radius. After all, road trips were meant for people, not food. So what's all this interest in local? Well, I think it makes a lot of sense personally. It's better on the environment because you're not transporting food long distances. Secondly, you keep the money in your local community, which is very important. And third, you can create some, well, meaningful relationships with some of the producers of food. And fourth, and lastly, I think the food often tastes better. So in the spirit of the pursuit of local, we travel to the city of Conway, Arkansas, where this community is being impacted by a group calling themselves the Locals. How clever.
From the beginning, the Locust has been an organization that's about community and about caring for the place we live in, caring for each other. And so food is something that unites us all, no matter what part of the spectrum you're in. We all eat food. So it was for us a very natural step to start having relationships with farmers and cooking with local food.
The Faulkner County Urban Farm Project began as actually a competition between the 3 colleges here in Conway. And once the competition was over, they actually decided to break down the walls of the competition and make one big community garden to kind of bring up not only college students into the project, but also kids and community members as well.
We have a children's garden club that meets every week. So we just try to get the kids out into the garden and teach them about gardening and certain like nature things and how to grow fruits and vegetables and like life cycles of bugs and plants, and they really have a lot of fun playing out there.
We felt like it was a good vehicle to try to slowly transform the culture that we live in, because at the end of the day, it's the habits and the everyday lifestyle of people that make an impact.
Coming up, how a military veteran's grass-fed cattle is changing his small community.
It's truly an all-natural process that we do here.
And later, what to do with all of those kitchen scraps. Reed Admire shows us how he's taking compost to the next level. So stay with us. Hey, now here's something to think about. Did you know that a 6-ounce steak from a grass-fed steer has 100 fewer calories than the same 6-ounce steak from a grain-fed steer? Now think about this. For the average American, that adds up to about 18,000 calories a year. That's the equivalent of 6 human pounds. Now there are a lot of local grass-fed beef producers out there. So it makes you think, why not tap into local and support your local farmer? You know how the food's produced and where it's coming from. Now a good example of this is the farm at Barefoot, which is a sustainable, veteran-owned producer of livestock that promotes the highest standard of animal welfare. So what's not to love about that?
Barefoot Bend is we produce livestock here. We do all natural grass-fed beef, pastured poultry, and forested pork, which is, just a fancy way of saying a pig that's raised in the woods. We're also putting in vegetable production this year. We do 100% grass-fed beef, so we just feed them grass, and we don't put any fertilizers on our soil or anything. We actually use our pastured poultry to do that for us. So we bring in and we rotate everything together, and all the animals really work together. It's truly an all-natural process that we do here. We operate on very high animal husbandry standards. We want to make sure that the animals are in the most natural setting they have, very stress-free. When we first moved out to this community, there's a little old-fashioned store, or an old store that's been there for a long time. It used to be a little gas station, a little convenience store, and it's called Crow's Station. We said this place was calling to us. My wife always says it was calling to her. She wanted to open that store, and of course I had a vision for it. And obviously now we sell our product out of there, which is great. And we didn't expect that. That really wasn't even part of the business plan. That was just kind of one of those aha moments. It was like, wait a minute, we can sell our stuff out of our little store. It's a community store. I grew up a city boy, I grew up in Southwest Little Rock. Don't have an ag, bone in my body as far as, background. I used to go down to my grandparents' place when I was a kid, and they had a little farm, but they retired to their farm. They didn't have a farm as a living, as a way of life. I just really always enjoyed it. And then after the military, there was just a part of me that just, was longing to be outside, longing to, be walking my fence line. So I enlisted in the military in February 2001, went off to basic training. Shortly after that, 9/11 happened, and, all 8 cylinders after that. So ended up having 5 deployments between Iraq and Afghanistan before I got out. It was, I treasure it. I treasure my military service. The military absolutely, lays the framework for ag, I think. I truly feel that hard work, discipline, getting up early in the morning, these are all the things that a farmer has to deal with. Just like in the military, you work all day to push through, meet the objective, and farming is the same thing. You put in all this hard work, and at the end of the season, or when your animals are ready to go, and you're ready to process things and take things to market, you've completed your objective. We bought this property, and didn't know what we were going to do. We didn't know how to be farmers yet. So we started going to workshops and looking for different things, and we came across the Arm to Farm workshop. Everything just started falling into place for me. That really fueled my passion for the Farmer Veteran Coalition. And I don't really do a lot with them because I'm so busy on the farm, but I'm busy on the farm because of the Farmer Veteran Coalition. So it's this great cycle because the more I accomplish here, the more I can do for other veterans.
Just can't believe all of these choices. There's so many beautiful plants here. I love going to a local independent garden center because there's so many fabulous choices. Take, for instance, this array of heucheras, or coral bells as they're commonly known. This plant has gone an amazing transformation over the past 10 years or so. The hybridizers have come up with a whole myriad of foliage colors. With color like this in foliage, who needs blooms, right? Now, the beauty of this plant, certainly comes through, obviously, in the leaves, but it's also beautiful in that it will take the shade. If you have issues with shade and have trouble finding things that will grow, this is a plant to think about. It's also a perennial, meaning it's going to come back. The other thing is that heucheras are native to North America, so they are an indigenous plant. So if you want to take that whole local idea a little further, native plants fit into this whole local movement. But let's get back to the color, because that's the exciting thing about this family of plants. The range of color is really quite kaleidoscopic. I mean, you look at some of these leaves that are blotched and veined and marbleized. They come in ranges of reds and pinks and burgundy. And then you look at whole categories that are often autumnal in color, like this apricot colored one with darker veining. Some of them are even orange colored. And then there are the ones that are chartreuse, that really sort of screaming electric yellow that really makes any garden pop. If you're looking for some visual interest in a shady dark area, try one of these chartreuse heucheras. But for me, for this container I'm creating, I'm just going to do a mixture of kind of the same color family with just a little splash of this coming through. I think it'll make an interesting container to go in a shady spot on the porch. Give Heucheras a try. You'll be glad you did. You know, so often in our kitchens, we throw things out that could have some long-lasting benefits. You know, sometimes in even my kitchen, banana peels and eggshells and coffee grounds and things like that end up in the trash can when they really could be composted and make some lovely soil for your garden plants. Reed Admire of the Urban Food Loop shows us how to rethink those particular food items that tend to go to waste by helping communities with composting and creating marvelous soil.
So composting is really important because almost 40% of our nation's landfills are filled with food waste, and that creates carbon gas and carbon emissions, and we're all familiar at this point with the greenhouse gas effect and how big of an impact carbon emissions are having. If everyone was composting, that would be cut by 40%. And compost is also a natural resource that's valuable. It can be worth up to $300 a ton, which is about a truckload. But instead, we're just throwing that into the landfill. Annually, according to the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, we're wasting $168 billion in natural resources because we're throwing food away. So the process of the Urban Food Loop, a customer can sign up, they get a bucket delivered to their house, they scrape all of their food waste in weekly. At the end of the week, we come by and we pick it up and switch it out with a clean bucket. We take the food waste, we compost it on our site or at one of our community partner sites, Dunbar Community Gardens, Western Hills Park. I turn the compost every day, all week, until it's that fine black material. Customers can opt to have the compost returned to them in bulk for fall planting and for spring planting. They can also elect to have seeds started. So this season we're starting kale, beets, carrots, and some flowers, and we will return those to people's home gardens started in the compost that was created from their food waste. In the next 10 years, long term, we'd love to see trash, recycling, compostables on the street. That's long term. Short term, we'd love to have 100 customers signed up and participating by this time next year and really connecting more and more people to Dunbar, to Little Rock Urban Farms, to South on Main, to really see the local food movement not only grow, but to have people participate and become involved into the local food movement.
I don't know about you, but I love flavor pairings. And one of my favorites is really good chocolate with a really nice red wine. What a combination. Now we've all heard this notion of farm to table, right? But what about bean, as in chocolate bean, to bar, as in chocolate bar? Pretty yummy concept, huh? Local chocolate maker Nathaniel Izzard shows us the sweetest part of his job is his relationship with the farmers.
It's a very intensive process to go from raw materials to end product chocolate that we all know. It's a very different product than what I originally thought it was. It's not as much a candy as I had thought. So there's kind of two main markets in the cacao world. There's commodity cacao, and then there's fine flavor quality cacao. Commodities traded up and down by traders in offices, and along with coffee and sugar and other commodity products. Fine quality cacao is a completely different story. Looking for those farms is very important in the chocolate making process. Looking for farmers who care about their products, and looking for people who are interested in growing high quality cacao, because you can't make good chocolate from bad cacao. The cacao tree originated in South America. It can grow anywhere 20 degrees north or south of the equator. Right now I buy cacao from 4 different countries. Each region produces different flavors, so there's just going to be different flavors that pop up in depending on the way it's harvested and the way it's fermented, and then the environment that the cacao grows in. So like my chocolate from Belize, then there are just some really natural dried tart cherry notes in the chocolate itself. The Dominican Republic is a much bolder chocolatey flavor. It has more of that, what we usually think of as a traditional chocolatey flavor with some kind of nutty undertones. And then the Tanzania has some really interesting kind of wine flavor notes, some raisin backgrounds, and some other mango and different fruity notes. And then the Madagascar has a very red fruit flavor. But they're all very different, and all of that's based on the fact that they're from different regions. And it's like wine and coffee and other products. Different regions produce different flavors of products. And there are a lot of steps that I do to help make sure that the flavor that's already there shows up in the end product. But the flavor starts at the farm.
Want to learn more? Visit pallansmith.com for delicious recipes, garden tips, blog posts, and our online store. Hey, I don't know about you, but buying locally produced and grown products just makes a lot of sense. It's good for the local economy, and plus you're making great relationships, friends with people who are producers. And on top of that, you can ensure that they're going to be as fresh as possible. Well, that's all the time we have for today's show. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I have. Until next time, I'm Alan Smith. These berries are so good. Hi, I'm Alan Smith, and I'm a local boy.
Let's try again.
Locavore. And I'm a localvore.
Freeze.
From a grass-fed. Did you know that grass-fed? Did you know that the
Cacao, 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 cacao.
It's batch number 54. Ask for it by name.